Hello everybody and welcome to Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca, WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, whatever track you would like to call it, it is Laguna Seca as it has and always will be. Thank you for joining us for another installment of the ABN Champ Car Preseason Challenge. I'm Christina Ryan alongside Strix9 Pulsatrix as has been for the full length of this season. We missed you last time out at Richmond. It was a very exciting day for some, and we can now say happily that Olivia Hayward is no longer winless in this series, Strix. She pulled out the lead and put down a brilliant strategy of finally ended up winning her first Champ Car race.
Yeah, unfortunately last week we had quite a few technical difficulties, but we fired the whole IT staff and replaced them with new ones, and they figured it out. So we are back here at the Monterey GP in the preseason challenge of the Champ Car series. And yes, great to see that Olivia Hayward, who has so frequently been a bridesmaid, especially in this series, finally getting that win. It's just unfortunate that it didn't quite happen on broadcast, but that monkey off her back now, she can certainly, kind of take some of that pressure off and then just perform rather than trying to chase that win down. As we do take a look at some of the practice drives we've got going on and take a look at some of these lap times. Currently, the fastest lap time set in practice is 107.354. set by Constantinu. And we've also got some other drivers in here who are setting some fairly similar lap times. We have a 108.113 from Emma Kruger, which is about 7, maybe 8 tenths of a second behind. But then you have Joshua Gaiman and Lily Pelletier-Sharp. Both drivers within spitting distance of each other with their practice lap times, at least, with a 108.6, with Josh Gaiman just barely edging out by 0.02 of a second.
Yeah, it looks like the lap times are going to be close, as they have been all season. However, we do have a new contender tonight. We are looking at Robin Summer, of course. We had gotten to know her a bit over the course of the ABN Hyper Formula Series. Of course, she suffered a concussion, was unable to drive, or was recommended not to drive, rather, so she's been out in that. She makes her return to ABN Broadcasting tonight, running the number 44 machine alongside Olivia Hayward at Prismatic Motorsports. It's going to be her debut in Champ Car. These cars quite a bit different to the Formula 1 cars, but she's got experience in LMP2 to fall back on, which will be mighty, mighty handy tonight. She runs 7th currently, just behind Hayward on the time chart.
Yeah, the types of cars that Robin seems to really enjoy and really drive are pretty similar. They're very high speed, high downforce cars, especially the Formula 1, very high speed, very high downforce. But these Indy cars in particular, way more downforce, in my opinion, at least in my driving experience, than the other two, and a little bit less power as well. But that doesn't make it any less treacherous, especially considering where we are at. This is Laguna Seca. That roller coaster of a corkscrew chicane up at the top of the track, all the way down to the bottom where that tight hairpin is over 5 stories last I checked. It's between 3 and 5, I think. That is a huge drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, 180 feet top to bottom. And on top of that, I've seen, I think that was Robin Summer taking a bit of a spin in the background there. But as I was saying, though, some drivers have noticed that their cars are actually taking liftoff at the top of that corkscrew. So something to look out for. Probably we might end up seeing quite a few drivers in the infield care center getting their compressed spines looked after.
Yeah, hopefully not too many of those there. Hopefully we have a safe race. But 14 drivers took part in practice. Whether a few more hop in during the qualifying session or not is yet to be known, but a track with a lot of history and one that demands respect. After a 45-minute session of practice, it's Chris Constantino atop the leaderboard for Stepping Stone Motorsports, and it's Josh Gaiman from Stepping Stone in third. They split by Emma Kruger, Pelletier Sharp. So it's Stepping Stone and Gear Cats in the top couple spots. Hernandez, Hayward, Summer, Overton, Zier, Flores, Roberts, Martin, Hardy, and McBride. Zach joining in just at the last second there, so going to gain a bit more speed. And Carmen Hardy, of course, still running on that broken foot, so that's the reason for them being a bit further off pace. Everybody else pretty much in the ballpark. As that concludes our practice session, and you can see a couple of cars on track. That means that we are getting ready to go for qualifying. A quick look at the weather here. It's 10-mile-an-hour wind. The track temp is actually incredibly cool right now, sitting at a nice and calm 78 degrees Fahrenheit. It's going to be some of the best we've seen in a long time in this season, especially for a track so undulating, and one in California, named for the Monterey Grand Prix. It's in Monterey, California. It is a very hot racetrack typically, so drivers are going to be thankful for that. Other than that, looks like it's going to be a typically blustery day here. As it has been, but here we go. Getting ready to go at it here.
Yeah, and with that wind going about, I believe, if I'm reading correctly, about 286 degrees
296,
heading.
296, yes.
296. So that would be right about a wind coming from the northwest. So that is something to keep in mind, although it is a fairly gentle wind from what I see. For the Canucks out there, it's about 16 kilometers an hour. About double the walking pace or double the running pace of a human. So it's there. It's not, it's not unnoticeable, but it's not as gusty as some winds we have seen some races take place in. But I gotta say, as we get closer to the race, one thing that we've seen come up time and time again in the Champ Car Preseason Challenge is, more than anything, pit strategy. A lot of these races, in fact, I think pretty much every single one of these races this season has been won on fuel mileage or pit strategy. And ultimately, at the end of the day, raw pace is going to bring you to the top, but we've seen a lot of drivers who have a ridiculous amount of pace, set the fastest lap of the race, and then fall off at the back and don't end up winning the race because their pit strategy just wasn't ideal. So, to give you the pit strategy idea, drivers are saying that this is going to be at least a 3-stop race. You can make it 2 if you are very, very conscious about your fuel, but it's going to be a very hard, tall task. And another thing that drivers have been saying is that this is going to be primarily a option tire track. You're going to be so slow on the primaries that you just want to get off those primaries as fast as possible and then put on the options. So those are 2 things that the drivers are probably going to be keeping in mind when they go for those option tires, and when they go for the primaries is ultimately going to be up to the drivers to decide. I don't see. I don't really understand how the drivers would be able to pick. I guess it's kind of like a pick and feel thing. Do you have any input on that with regards to when you would maybe want to have your primary?
Well, you have to have both. Obviously, you need to set a certain amount of lap times on both tires. If you're going to be having 3 stops, that means you'll be using 4 sets. Obviously, the easiest thing would be, it would depend, I think, on your qualifying strategy, but that's part of what makes this session that we're watching right now. We saw Hernandez throw down a provisional pole lap. We'll see what Hardy does at the line here. She comes across the line. She did not run very many laps in practice, but she puts down a qualifying time enough for 5th, then gets knocked to 6th by Alex Martin just behind her. But it'll depend. You start the race on the tire compound that you qualified on, so or put your fastest lap down on, rather. So we see Gaiman right now out on the reds, so he's on the option tire. So yeah, I think honestly, I personally, if I start at the front, I would want to get all of my stints out of the way on the reds, and or do a couple stints on reds and try and build a gap on the reds to be able to hang on to the blacks for a little bit. However, I'm going to want to make a pit stop that has the shortest amount of time on those tires. Ooh. So as you see, Gaiman just overshooting just a bit and continues to overshoot there. I am thinking if I get a safety car, this is the thing. If you're at the tail end of the field, why not put on the primaries, wait for a safety car after 5 laps, and then pit, if we get one, of course. Anytime you see a safety car, I think you'd want to try and get that out of the way, but with the way the rules are and how many laps that are mandated, it's going to be kind of hard to know. But I think that's kind of a we'll figure it out as we go kind of thing. I think some drivers kind of have an idea what they want to do versus some others that may not know yet, and that's kind of the beauty of it. It looks to me like everybody's going to qualify on the reds, at least as far as those that are competitive at the moment. Look like they're going to try and go after reds. Pelletier, Sharp, and Overton are on primaries right now, as are Flores and Zier. Flores has not set a lap time. Constantino is on primaries, and so is Brun Roberts. But other than those 6, everybody is on the reds. So that's going to be the one to beat. How about Robin Summer, though? Currently, she's about 6/10 off, but she's currently sitting second place on the time charts as we're about halfway, make that third now as her teammate jumps her by 200ths as Hayward gets back up to a spot that we're more used to seeing her around here. But almost halfway through qualifying now and getting close to halfway through quali, and Summer's sitting right up there in the podium spot on her first race.
Yeah, first race back after the injury, the head injury that she was dealing with, and also after some pretty great news at her workplace. I won't get into specifics, obviously, privacy reasons, but you know, very topsy-turvy recent history for Robin Summer, that's for sure, and certainly hoping to increase the positives over the negatives over the past 30 days. As we took a look at some other drivers going around the track here, Lee Overton cutting into the grass, cutting into the gravel just a little bit. Chris Constantino, as you see on your screen as well, taking another go at it. Robin Summer slow on the inside to let Chris by. And Chris Constantino has been remarkably consistent in their pace over the past season. Just sometimes not quite having the race results that one would hope for. I think I remember a couple times Chris Constantino had been getting kind of shafted on some pit strategy calls, but currently out on what looks to be the primary tires. So Chris Constantino might be looking to go with the primaries early, as you said, you know, hoping for an early safety car and get off those primaries.
It looks like she's committed there because she's got it up into 3rd position. She's done a very nice job for herself as we've rode on board for a lap or two. I don't know. Yeah, that lap did count, even though she extended the track limits quite a bit. She actually is going to go 2nd fastest now. Emma Kruger also, I believe, ran her lap on the primaries as we're on board with her as she exits the pit lane. You can see there, tied for the most champ car wins in ABN history. She's also on primaries. Hayward on the reds, and I believe so was Hernandez. So Hernandez's lap is on the reds. We're on board with Hayward now. Pull up the track map here. You can Gaiman goes 2nd fastest now as well. You can see how cluttered this track is. Hayward on a bit of clean track with Overton right behind her, but look at that group, that gaggle in that 2nd sector. It's going to be a bit of a mess trying to find some clean racetrack. I'm surprised they've done a good job of it so far. This is a track that doesn't allow for a lot of passing zones. It's not too easy to get around each other. So we'll see here. We'll continue to ride on board with Hayward. I'll bring the track map back up, and you just kind of familiarize yourself. Hayward, of course, that green circle on the dot. She goes a bit wide there, and that lap will not count. She has a 1X there. But, yeah, sitting in the top 5 right now. She's not very fond of this track. A lot of the drivers here don't like this track, which is a bit of a shame. It's one of the best tracks, I think, in America. It's one of those challenging tracks. It's got a lot of unique characteristics to it, and this is the fun part here. We saw it on board with Constantino, but listen and watch here as she goes through the corkscrew. You can just feel that in your gut when it goes down, and then through this corner too, very high loads through these next couple corners, very high speed corners. I think she might be taking care of her tires a bit here to not waste them since she had a 1X, but we'll ride on board here and see if she gets something. Of note, we are officially halfway through qualifying, and it's Hernandez and Gaiman on the front row at the moment.
At the moment, for sure. And it's really interesting to note that that the primaries seem to be doing a lot better than expected at this track. Did hear from some of the drivers that you would want to get off the primaries as soon as possible, but if they are capable of maintaining the same pace, if Joshua Gaiman, I think, set their time on the options, but Angel Hernandez, I believe, set on the primaries, if I remember correctly.
No, the
or was
top
that
two are on
Chris?
the options. It was Constantino and Kruger that ran theirs on primaries.
Right, and they're not too far behind, so it is a gap, but it's not as noticeable as maybe some were expecting, so this may be opening the strategies up a little bit.
So front wing on the track there. I think that might have been Kruger's. I'm not for sure. Sitting at the top of the corkscrew. I think Hayward's going to get a clean lap here. She's got 2 corners to go. You can also see another thing that note, this lap very sloppy on the racetrack. Not by Hayward. You could just see the litter on the track. This is a track that doesn't have traditional grass. It has dirt, sand. So it is so easy as Hayward puts down a lap time that is faster, but not enough to jump over Kruger. That will give her some breathing space back to Robin. But look at that there, even as she's out on the tarmac. Look at how dirty the exit of that track is. Look at the pit exit, how dirty that is. It is so easy to throw litter on this racetrack, and that affects these cars. That is a less grip area. They're going to have to watch out for that throughout today, too. The more mistakes that some drivers make, the worse it's going to be for everybody.
Yeah, certainly a little bit less noticeable on some of the more traditional cars you would expect to see at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, specifically sports car racing. You know, stuff like the GR86 is actually raced here about 2 weeks ago in the official iRacing series, as well as a few others. But these open wheel cars, they're very sensitive to the amount of grip each tire has throughout the corner. And if you're going just a little bit too wide, getting off into these sandy bits of the corner, you can see even through the corkscrew, a lot of sand picked up and thrown back onto the racetrack. It could get very, very dicey very, very quickly.
Yeah, Overton's on a bit of a flyer here. I don't know if it's going to be a personal best or not, but running on those primary tires, you could see how much that the 16 car was sliding about across the line here. Is it going to be any faster? I don't think it will. It might have been an outlap as well, but Overton really pushing in that car and pushing a little too hard, and that's the other thing. It's a bit like ice when you get out there. There's not a whole lot you could do. And Bren Roberts goes very wide at the kink and hard into the wall and still rolling against the wall there. And that's the other risky run.
Yeah, I think Lee Overton actually pinned the throttle to try and get into that tire wall because there was a car coming up behind him and didn't want to ruin the lap. And it might have been a little bit of frustration too. You know, it's really frustrating to get out of your outlap and start trying to lay down something that'll work, and then just blowing the corner. So it could have been frustration. It could have been just an emergency exit stage right. But as we do take a look at another driver going around here, Lily Pelletier Sharp, I believe that would be, going around T1, keeping it nice and tight. Ooh, tapping it.
A spin there. Carmen Hardy just jumped her for 7th. There's Carmen in the background. I'm not sure if Pelletier Sharp put down a time or was going to start a time. She's been having a good bit of success lately in the stock cars over in the Hold the Line Cup Series, HTL, but still struggling a bit here, looking for her first top 5. Meanwhile, her teammate Emma Kruger has just gone fastest of all drivers on primaries with 5 minutes to go. So game on for Angel Hernandez if he wants to steal a pole position here. Kruger puts down a flyer on the worst tires. So it's going to be hard to beat Kruger. She's been on fire lately. She's had a few mistakes here and there. It hasn't been quite as flawless as the last time we were talking about her, but she's still been lethally quick.
Yeah, just getting a little bit late on the brakes, and you saw that on the exit there, just going a little bit wide. But Emma Kruger does seem to have this track dialed in and really figured out, braking at pretty much all the perfect moments that you would want to, going down the hill, probably wanting to save a little smidge of tire, but looks like she's still on full attack, even though I believe, if I'm looking correctly, yeah, that was an off track, so she's going to be going into the pits, maybe practicing the pit entries.
Well, not only that, but she's burning the fuel off on that car and trying to get another set of tires to go for it one more time. Here's Robin Summer. She's the next one up. It's going to stop. Oh, and she goes around there. Ugh. It's about to stop being a let's watch a driver for a few laps more than a let's watch who's coming to the line next, because we're getting into the closing stages of qualifying now. Let's see on the soft compound tire if Hayward can go any faster than 5th place. She does. She goes up to 2nd place, just behind Kruger. So a really good lap from Hayward. She's really needed that one, I believe, to get herself back into it. Constantino actually goes top of the board now on a set of primary tires as well. So game on, and there's Kruger coming on the pit exit there. So it's full steam ahead for those two. The gap is quite strong. It's about a 0.4 of a second gap between Kruger and Constantino. So the two girls there are going to go at it. Hayward might have a shout. Hardy does not go any faster. Or she does. She goes fast enough to jump Robin Summer, who is now halfway around on one of her laps. She tried to get going again after that spin. I think that was Hayward that was off in the grass, her teammate. Still enough time to restart and go at it one more time. Hayward moved herself into the podium places. Hernandez is on track. Not yet, actually. Gaiman just started a lap, so he seemed pretty quick. We'll see what he can do. Summer on the soft tires now, coming through the final couple of corners. Going to be very careful not to over-rotate on that last turn again. She still has a really good effort put together here for her first ever start in Champ Car. Let's see if she can get any more out of it on those better tires. Constantino into the pit lane in the background, but Summer is gonna stay in 7th place right now.
Yeah, that exit on the final corner was pretty much as perfect as you could ask. You really want to try and maximize your corner exit speed there. But unfortunately, throughout the previous sectors, couldn't quite improve. So we're seeing Chris Constantino maybe making it out for another final lap as Lilac Zier comes across the line. Not going to improve the time yet, but has one more, just about one more shot at trying to improve the time. Chris Constantino now out on track on the out lap.
Well, here comes Gaiman to finish his lap. He had just started it. He'll have another opportunity here, but at the line, can he go any faster in 5th place? Will he jump any more? It does not look like that lap was fast enough, so he will have another go at it. Angel Hernandez looks like he may be done with his session in the number 15, so we'll see what Constantino can do coming through the kink now, and that was Hardy in the background. So all eyes on the current pole sitter. She doesn't have to put down a blistering lap if she doesn't want to. This one's more for security's sake. So number 57 has her first career win from Rudskogen. We remember the joy in her voice as we interviewed her. Now she comes through the final couple corners. Really nice placement on that car. Inch perfect. See the brake rotors glowing through that last corner. Pin down the throttle. That's actually not Hardy. That was Zier in the background. Forgive me. But Constantino, it's a 107.33. Any faster this time? No, but Zier does go fast enough there behind her to leap over Alex Martin in the 11 machine. And with 53 seconds left, we'll see what Hayward can do, because she's starting what will be her final lap. Gaiman coming across the line now to start his final lap. Did he go any faster this time? No.
Coming down to the wire here. Not a whole lot of time left to be able to try and set these lap times. And a big shock here. It seems as though the primaries aren't at as a significant a disadvantage as drivers had once expected. Although I imagine once these primaries get worn in and whatnot, they'll be able to stick a little bit better for a little bit. Actually, I do have a question for you, Christina. So, like, with these primaries being as fast as they are here, would that mean that, like, the hards seem to have a very precise kind of optimum, like, pressure, wear, temperature versus the options, which may be more sensitive, or would you still want to prefer the options?
I'm going with whatever tire is faster. Of course, some of this could be a graphic glitch as well, because Kruger's saying she was on softs, even though it showed her on hards. So maybe an issue with iRacing's part. Pelletier Sharp here coming through the kink. She's the last car on track other than Constantinu. It does not look like she's going to have enough pace to challenge Chris Constantinu for pole position, but it looks like it's going to be, because Constantino is the only other one on track here, so we'll see. She is looking to get some more pace out of that car. We know the Gearcats cars are pretty quick, but ooh, a hard lick to the curbing there. Let's see if she can hold on. Constantino in the background there. And Pelletier Sharp across the line. So we don't really know who is and isn't on what tire, unfortunately, but it'll all sort itself out in the end. But no change for Pelletier Sharp and no change for Constantino. She is going to stay your pole sitter alongside Kruger, and then the second row will consist of Hayward and Hernandez. So Hernandez only needed 9 laps to get it done, to put that car in fourth. Same for Gaiman, 9 laps for him. Constantino, the most laps on track besides Pelletier Sharp. They both ran 16 laps in their attempts. So yeah, a lot of unknowns here. Sorry to not answer your question. I would go with whatever tire feels the most comfortable.
Everyone
But
in the chat our Discord channel for drivers.
with that being said, it is time for a little bit of warm up and a little bit of discussion pre-race. So as is tradition, we will be moving just for a moment for the pre-race briefing. So Strix, I'll be back in a moment.
They're brutal here. I hate it.
Why did we put this on the calendar?
I lost like 6 tenths.
I'm asking
my last
myself
lap.
the same question. I hate it.
I fucked up my lap on the last one. I lost 6 tenths.
Everyone who's faster than me can stop complaining at any time. Just saying.
I hope you learned something, Carmen.
Lilac, I'm going fast so I can get the race over with quicker.
Well, I'll probably get it over with by binning it on lap 1. So.
Not a bad strat, actually.
Edgy.
Yeah.
Okay. So, drivers meeting underway. Track is open, by the way, for anyone that wants to do laps. High downforce setup is what we're using. Standing starts. iRacing released an update today that made the car more sensitive to physical contact damage. Please don't try that out turn 1, lap 1. There's 14 cars in tonight's race, which is more than this track deserves. We know what this track is. We know how difficult Laguna Seca can be. The sand, if you touch it, you die. Sausage curbing, if you touch it, you die. Corkscrew, if you look at it wrong, you die. If we have a caution, which we probably will, it's Laguna Seca, and we can't have fun. It's single file restarts out of the final corner. Pace car will be in pit lane at that time. Leader will control the restarts out of the final corner. Initial starts, standing starts are on green. If you jump start it, it's on you. For the love of God, please don't spin it on the initial start, because no one can go anywhere, and that will take out half the field. If you can't tell, I hate this track. This track is the American equivalent of Brands Hatch.
Carmen,
What?
you forgot one other thing.
What?
You look at the bollards on the pit straight, you will die. Those bollards will destroy your car.
Pardon my French. If you look at the pit exit, it's on you. That's your fault.
But no, not the pit exit, but going down the straight as well. If you accidentally touch
That's
the
all
curb,
part of the pit exit.
Yeah, but you can hit it on the main straight. Those bollards.
But yeah, it doesn't matter. If you're dumb enough to do it, stupid game, stupid prices.
I think she's worried that other people are going to be dumb enough to do it and then throw codes onto the track.
As well as that, yeah.
Well, the 2009 ALMS race proved why those bollards are there.
But yeah, it's Laguna Seca. Everyone knows what we're doing. This track's never going to be used for this series ever again. So make the most of it. We all know that Emma or Josh are probably going to take the lap record here, so just try to get points.
Are you
Can
joking?
Tino?
I cry instead?
If anyone has any questions other than why do we pick this track, feel free to ask them. If you're asking why do we pick this track, at the time I thought it was important and relevant. Obviously, with iRacing and the redacted series that we can't mention, this aged like cottage cheese. Of course, got it.
Can we erase this track from existence?
I wish. But if anyone has any valid questions, feel free to ask.
Carmen, do you need a hood?
I have surgery in 6 days, and this is the last race I get to do beforehand. I need alcohol.
Oh no.
Preferably after the race.
Yes, yes, after the race. Yeah, it's not gonna be fun. Any other questions other than my well-being? Because my well-being is poor.
How many push to pass are there?
10 push to passes, up to 20 seconds each. Let's see. Yeah, 10 push to passes, 20 seconds each. You typically won't get to use all 20 seconds. And to answer James Pearson in chat, I do what I want, so fuck off. I'm not in the mood. Don't test me.
What's one plus one?
But
It's track's pretty cool, though, I think.
it can be fun. It just this is not the cars for it.
Yeah.
No, nothing at Laguna Seca can be fun.
This isn't a 60s Mustang.
I'm last and I'm having fun.
Never mind. Someone said 60s Mustang.
Good for
have
you,
to agree
Alec.
with you there.
But we've got 5 sets of tires total. We know that we're having at least 2 or 3 pit stops. You should have surplus tires. No fast repairs. For those that are new or haven't done a road course race, there are no fast repairs. If you crash out, that's kind of just it. We will throw cautions if we feel we need to. Hopefully that doesn't happen tonight, but turn 1 is the way it is. It's not typically clean. If there's track blockages, someone please call it out so we can take care of it. But yeah, 140 miles, 63 laps. Patience is going to be critical. Let it kind of play out, and let's see what everyone's got. This race could be as good as Roscogan. It just
Probably
the track
not.
itself is.
No.
I mean, Woodstoden didn't go that well for me, so I hope it's better than Woodstoden.
But for this track is Laguna Seca, nothing can go well on it except the 60s Mustang.
I outscored Olivier Rodskogan. I just hope that happens again.
I hope that doesn't. I kind of desperately that to not happen.
If no one had, you go ahead.
I'm gonna set the over under at 3.5 green flag passes. What does everybody think?
That's optimistic.
I don't think it's going to be a clean pass.
Does it count if someone's in the wall and everyone goes past them?
No, it's not an on-track pass.
You're on track.
What happens if they're crashed on track? They're still on the surface, so it's fine.
Everyone's going to hit them because there's nowhere to fucking go after that.
Oh, there's plenty of space. What are you talking about?
20
it's a
feet
dry,
wide.
It's a dry lake.
Is Lilac somehow delicious on driving a different track today?
I'm just trying to be optimistic here.
Are you a Rodskogan?
I'm just trying to be optimistic here. Can't we all just
You're optimistic.
have fun?
Are you in Tennessee? Oh wait, that's the one thing.
Learn to love the fun, unfun things, and then everything will be fun. That's my motto.
I'm gonna leave that one alone.
Lilac has learned to love the bomb.
For those wondering, this is not a sponsored series. Like the World Series is sponsored, this isn't. So, like,
You can say naughty things.
I mean, yeah.
We're just gonna cut that cord before it gets worse.
Oh boy.
I've never had seen a more negative driver's briefing in my entire life, and when the entire field has that kind of mindset, it doesn't mean anything good. So I worry for these boys and girls before they get into it. So
I wasn't able to tune in on
for
that.
you.
So what are the drivers talking about in there?
they're all not very happy. It's about quintessential esports, A bunch of people getting angry, except for Lilac. Lilac's having a great time, and I think that she might win the race again because of that. So, all right, all that aside, it does set us up here. We've got a minute and a half of pre-race, so we'll go ahead and get that booted up. Thank you guys all for sticking with us. At least in the booth, it'll be a bit more professional this evening. We'll see what happens. It should be a fun race for us to watch, even if the drivers hate it. When the drivers hate it, it's interesting for one reason or another. We are here for the penultimate round of the Champ Car preseason challenge here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca is what it's currently known as. It's still a 70 to 80s today. It's going to be nice and cool for how California typically is. The track a little bit hotter than that, but is not up in the hundreds like we were expecting. It's a 2.2 mile racetrack, and it has over 180 feet of elevation change. The altitude's already up in the 750s almost. It's the only configuration that iRacing provides. It's the full configuration, and it is going to be, I believe, our last road course of the season. So that will do it for that bit. We'll bring up the grid here if we can and show you qualifying results, and we'll actually give you the grid here if I can. I don't think I can yet because the race hasn't started, so I'll bring the, wait just a second for it to tick over onto the race, and then we'll get going here. There it is, so now it should be able to show up, and it does. Chris Constantino on pole alongside Emma Kruger. Stepping Stone gets another pole in Champ Car. Couldn't quite get the front wheel lockout though. Gear Cats and Prismatic said no thank you. Olivia Hayward and Angel Hernandez line up alongside. Gaiman in 5th, a good effort from him. Carmen Hardy on a broken foot puts that car in P6, a great effort from her. As we see the drivers popping on track now, it will be a grid start for tonight's race, so keep that in mind. Behind Carmen is Robin Summer in her debut, and Lily Pelletier Sharp, Lee Overton, Lilac Zier, Alex Martin, Bren Roberts, followed by Zach McBride and Elias Flores. That's pretty much all we got. Getting ready to go racing here, Strix. It should be fun to watch.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a fun race to watch. The Monterey GP, of course, used to be a classic track that this series used to go to in its vintage. But on the grid, standing start, and they're off.
They're off and away. Not a great start from Constantino, but a great start from Kruger. They're going to fan out behind Hayward. Looks like the first 6 or 7 got away well. 3 wide into turn 1, Constantino on the grass, but it's going to be Kruger who actually is going to come out with the lead here. She got a brilliant start compared to Constantino, and that's Hayward around in the middle of the field. Is she going to get hit by anybody? No. Everybody's going to miss her, so we stay green. Not sure if she had help or not. We'll take a look at that in a moment, but right now Kruger and Constantino, I think on push to pass, she's going to have an attempt back at Kruger into the second sector. Nearly hit that sausage curb. She's just about going to hang on to it, though. This might open the door for Hernandez. He takes a look, but thinks better of it. Gaiman up to 4th. Robin Summer up 2 spots into 5th. Bren Roberts has gained 3 positions on the start. He's already up in the 9th place. A great start for Roberts in the 84. Through the corkscrew for the first time. The top 5 consists of Kruger, Constantino, Hernandez, Gaiman, and Summer. And Kruger still under fire from Constantino. This isn't over yet.
And unfortunately, it does seem over for Olivia Hayward. Unfortunately, when we saw that spin, got a bunch of gravel on those tires. Tried to get back on the gas, gave it too much, twitched the car, and threw it straight into the tire wall. That may be race over for Olivia Hayward.
Yeah, she had to jump to the pit, which does mean she is withdrawn from the race. So Hayward's race lasts 2 corners after her win last week at Richmond. That's going to give some breathing room to Emma in the championship. Not that the championship actually will count from what has been said from Carmen. It's just a for fun kind of championship. But yeah, she's out of the race here. So Kruger ahead of Constantino, Hernandez, and Gaiman. Gaiman trying to hang in there, and Summer still in 5th. So Bren Roberts is up another position in the 84 machine, up into 8th place right now, and going after Lily Pelletier Sharp into the corkscrew. Looks like he might have a think about it. Backs out And Constantino and Kruger are side by side for the lead now.
Oh, Lily Pelletier Sharp actually going off course just as you switched off to the battle for the lead. And now Bren Roberts is around. So very smart decision from Bren Roberts to wait on that pass and let Lily make the mistake as we continue to look at this battle for the lead. Chris Constantino getting the run on the front stretch, going on the outside, deep on the brakes, but it's not going to be enough. Emma Kruger is going to have the inside for both corners, turn 1 and turn 2, and is going to stay ahead. But Chris once again trying to attack, getting on the inside now, but that's not really an ideal place to try and pass. Not going to work, and Chris Constantino is stuck back once again behind Emma Kruger. Great defensive driving here, but great attacking.
Yeah, Kruger had a great initial start there, but Constantino has not given it up yet. And just to clarify, Constantino is doing this on raw pace. She has not used a push to pass yet. So that being said, this is just pure pace difference. And look at that defensive line by Kruger. It's actually going to hurt her a bit, I would imagine. You see Constantino looming a bit closer. I think Kruger's a bit of the cork in the bottle at the moment. And I think Bren Roberts might have had a mistake now. He's gone round and back on the track. We're on board with him now as he gets that 84 going. So he was off to such a great start. No damage apparent on that car, but a mistake there. But look at this battle for the lead. It's a 5-car fight right now.
Yeah, all that fighting from the top two ended up letting the other 5 cars behind catch up. Robin Summer does still have a little bit of catching up to do, but if Chris and Emma Kruger are both going to be fighting like we saw last lap repeatedly, we'll probably see this actually end up with a 6-car battle as Carmen is just outside picture. As we take a look here, just going to be coming into your frame now is Carmen Hardy right at the back there.
Yeah, so she is slowly creeping into this. Saw a little bit of a touch of the dirt there for Emma Kruger. She's really pushing to stay in front of Constantino here as they try to make their way into the corkscrew once again. Angel Hernandez having a brilliant effort right now, doing a great job in that 15. Qualified well, running well so far. This is far from over for anybody in this section. Robin Summer getting some nice track time as well, and Josh Gaiman trying to wait for them to drop one by one. They've all gained 1 position except for Constantino, who lost 1, and Summer, who gained 2. Hardy's actually where he started, as is Lee Overton in 9th, but there's another battle for the lead right there between Kruger and Constantino. Constantino try as she might to get ahead of Kruger. Kruger knows, even if she is a bit slower right now, she knows exactly where to place that race car to keep her out in front. It's still the Cardinal leading over Constantino.
Absolutely. This is going to be an intense fight. Still not done yet. Chris Constantino with a bit of a better run going onto the inside of the corner.
She's got it now.
And, there's still overlap going into the kink. This is going to be dangerous. You can't turn in there. You can't go too wide there, and Emma Kruger is going to get the worst of it.
Yeah, she's very lucky to get away with that one. I think she probably should have let that one go. Constantino had to... is there more? Gaiman goes around there at the top of the screw. Gonna have to be careful to rejoin in a safe manner. Looks like he will do so. Unfortunately for Stepping Stone, that's gonna set them back. Will he stay ahead of Pelletier Sharp now is the question. No, he won't. So he's gone round. We'll take a quick look at what happened there. I'm not sure if he had help or not, but we'll rewind this ever so slightly because you'll see the contact between Emma and Constantino right there. I think Emma probably would have been a bit wise to just back out of that, but pushing hard for the lead, and then right here just a little too deep into the corner because Hernandez actually went after the move there on Constantino. So no damage to Gaiman, but a big setback there, and I think Emma will get away with that, but she definitely seemed to have been struggling. This has released Constantino, Hernandez, and Summer, who is now on the podium there.
Yeah, this is a big shakeup there, and that's probably the single most deceptively terrifying corner on the track, is that little kink that Robin Summer just drove through. Everybody, when they think about Laguna Seca, they think about the corkscrew, but they forget the corner before it. That kink, she goes swirling around.
Quick 360, will she get it going again? She will. Good evasive action there by Kruger and Hardy. They are now up. Hardy looking like she might have a challenge here with Kruger for the podium. So Kruger just like that back onto the podium. There's a battle with Pelletier Sharp, I think, who's gone round. She has. That's her moving very slowly, and she's got damage.
Yeah, this is very eventful already, and we have 63 laps of this to go.
Oh.
Tremendous racing from everybody. Just everybody's on full attack, but this track not very forgiving.
It's definitely not, and that's why it's going to reward the drivers who are patient. Constantino finally looking like she's got some breathing room on Hernandez as well. There's no DRS in these cars, but if there was, she's just left Hernandez's DRS zone, so a little over a second over Angel, who's doing very nicely still to keep that thing on the track. Hardy not losing too much there on Kruger, but they're trying to gain back into the mix here as well.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Angel Hernandez keeping it clean, cutting the corkscrew quite a lot. Probably has a slowdown here. Seems to be going quite a lot slower than would be ideal. That means Chris Constantino currently has a significant gap to second place.
Yeah, she opened
huge gap
up,
to second place.
Yeah, she opened up 2 seconds on that lap alone. So now we're looking at Kruger and Hardy, who are going to be hot on the heels of Hernandez in a few moments. Robin Summer sticking to the back of this group as well, despite her 360. She's got those tires cooled off and ready to go at it again. Elias Flores is out of this race. I don't believe he started it. And Olivia Hayward is out now as well. Bren Roberts in the pit lane after his mistakes there, which means it might be the end of a really, really good run for him. Zach McBride getting some seat time as well in that number 46 machine. He's gone a lap down, it looks like, but he's still in the hunt at the moment.
Yeah, these drivers trying to negotiate the track as we saw at the top of the field, negotiating each other as well with mixed results. But that is kind of the experience that a lot of drivers have at this track, and I think that's where a lot of the paranoia and a lot of the emotion that we saw in the driver's briefing was coming from. This is a very narrow circuit, a very technical circuit, and on top of that, the corkscrew is just so brutal on these cars and these tires. I think a lot of drivers were pretty worried about what we just witnessed, but at that point, it's almost, you got to wonder how much of that was self-fulfilling prophecy. But
I think all of it was, and this is a look back at the start. So this is what happened to Hayward. She did a spin and started to get going again. Now, you said that she's had a secondary incident here, so I wonder, oh, there it is. And that's what takes her out of this race. So unfortunate for her. You could see it was not a very good start, honestly, from Constantino. It was a situation there where, you know, they were fighting hard. This is that deal here with those two. Constantino, yeah, I feel like she just had enough overlap there that it really, I mean, Kruger got away with it. I think she bailed at the last second. There might have been a bit of contact, but we'll try and see here. Yeah, there is definitely contact. They definitely touched, but yeah, I think that's the difference there. And there you see where the top 4 scoot away, and that'll be it. They very much got away with that one.
Absolutely. That could have been a lot worse than what we saw. And that's the big thing there at that kink. You really don't want to be too wide. Even in slower cars, it can be very sketchy, but in cars as fast as these, as high downforce as these, it's really just a one-line corner here, as we do ride on board with, I believe
that's Hernandez.
Hernandez, yes, it would be.
Has gained a little bit on Kruger. The gap is up to 3 or 4 seconds here. You see the gaps to the leader on the left-hand side on that leaderboard. But Constantino sitting pretty right now. We're expecting a lot of pit stops out of this race. It's one of the longer races on the season. But right now, Hernandez sitting in there nicely. Kruger on a great recovery after bailing out of the kink there, but now we're starting to see Summer and Hardy going at it a bit here. It looks like Robin Summer has lost a position to Carmen, but is going to try and fight this out a little bit, I do believe. Ooh,
Yeah,
Carmen goes a bit
going
deep.
a little bit too deep. A little bit too deep on the brakes, but Robin Summer not quite close enough to capitalize for now, but is going to close that gap. Carmen Hardy still up in the lead. Robin Summer just a little too far back to attack right now, but is probably going to get the better run right onto this corner here. Going to be taking a hard left and then headed towards the kink.
Yeah, she took it quite a bit sharper there than Hardy, and I think that might have... Oh, Hardy almost went wide again, so struggling a bit, feeling the pressure from Robin Summer in her debut race. Looking back now from Hardy, you can see the 44 glowing in the sun there. Getting very close. Now, this is the traditional ebb and flow, but you can see they're running almost completely different lanes here. I think that Hardy is really starting to feel the pressure here. Of course, driving with basically 1 foot, since she has, as she mentioned in the pre-race, she has a surgery coming up soon. This is the last race she'll be running on a broken foot, but she's having to deal with that. Overton in the pit lane, and he's jumped there, so I think he's had a mistake, and I think he might be out of the race. Oh, and there goes Robin by Carmen, who's locked up yet again, but now going to be even with Summer. Can Summer try and hang into it? No. So Carmen's going to hang on despite the lockup, but this battle's very much on.
Yeah, all of a sudden that distance has been closed significantly. Going to get the run through the straightaway. On the outside is Rob Summer. On your inside is Carmen Hardy. Going to be turning in. Ooh, a little bit. Oh,
Summer does a good job there to hang on to it. But yeah, they just did the same deal. They tried to put 2 into 1, and it just quite didn't work out. That they both are rolling, and there's not too much damage to either car. I don't know that they even touched. So
no,
very nicely done there. See if we can't take a look at Lee Overton to see what's happened here. For Agent Inc. Oh, too deep into the corkscrew. And that is definitely going to be a day ender for him, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Way too hot into the corkscrew.
Yeah, we've been, I've been seeing, you know, while you've been managing the broadcast cameras, I've been taking a look through the other cars on the field, and I had been noticing on my little ticker as well that it seems the Agent Inc. cars are really suffering here, especially at that corkscrew, and unfortunately taking out one of the Agent Inc. drivers. Lee Overton, the boss of the team, actually. It's very unfortunate to see. You just hate to see it.
You do. It's a cruel mistress, the corkscrew is. It demands the utmost discipline and respect, and not that he was not giving it, it's just you need to be perfect there, and it's such a blind corner. It's fully off of your memory, and it's one that you need to get absolutely tit for tat perfect, and unfortunately for Overton, just a little too hot and came flying back across the track the other way. So that leaves Alex Martin still in the race in the number 11. He currently runs in the 8th position, and he's not super far off of this battle here ahead of him, which is between Summer and Hardy, and about to involve Gaiman. And it's interesting to me, Strix, that Summer has already caught back up to Hardy, so I think Hardy is being a bit of a cork in the bottle like what we saw with Kruger earlier.
Yeah, potentially here. Yeah, we've been seeing you know, Robin Summer seems to have quite a lot of pace here at Laguna Seca, going a little bit wide. Doesn't look like it's going to be an off track, so very close though, that's for certain. Carmen Hardy has been late on the brakes here, just a little bit too late on the brakes, but is going to be early this time. Makes the corner just nicely, but Robin Summer going to keep it inside a little bit tighter for the better exit on the corner. And then heading through the right-hander, I think Carmen Hardy might have got a little bit loose on entry, but keeps it gathered and is going to head through onto this first of 3 straights on this track here. I should probably, at this point, I feel like I should find a track map, figure out what the corner names are.
So to very quickly give everybody an update on push-to-pass usage, someone is on it right this second as I speak. It is Pelletier Sharp. She has 8 left now with that usage. Constantino has 8 left. Hernandez has 9 left. Kruger has yet to use one. Hardy and Summer both have 6 left. They have, the 2 of them in their battles have used more than anybody else. And on board with Gaiman and Zier behind, they both have 10. Martin has 9. And as mentioned, Pelletier Sharp has 8. So that's how the leaders are running. And you can see from Gaiman's windshield here, from the T-bar, from the halo, it is really heating up there.
Yeah, Robin Sommer trying to get on the gas just a little bit too early before the car was really hooked up for it. You can tell that all the drivers in this battle currently are just on, they're just on the edge as we take a look.
Oh, who was
on
that?
the inside of that corner? That was Zach McBride on the inside of that corner, just getting a little bit loose, I think, in the entry towards that corner.
It was McBride.
Yeah, locked
so.
up the brakes.
Well, we would have a look at it, but I think it's still very much on between Summer and Hardy and Gaiman. This is, Hardy going a bit wide. Playing with disaster right now, these two are. And it's not going to be too much time before Gaiman has a bit to go at it here, and he's been licking his teeth. He's been getting ready to go after it himself, as now Summer tries to duck on the inside, and what a brilliant move by Robin Summer. But here comes Hardy back on the inside again. Can't quite get there this time, but now Summer runs wide, and here's Gaiman trying to go and give Hardy the 2-for-1 special. Hardy on that defensive inside lane, though. That's going to give Robin Summer some breathing room, and here comes Josh Gaiman. Can he try and get something to go here? Summer's through and up into 4th place. Brilliant move from the rookie.
Olivia Hayward in chat has the exact same reaction I do. I have no idea how she made that stick. I blinked, she was behind Carmen Hardy. I blinked again and she was in front. I have no idea how that stuck. But with Josh Gaiman now trailing just behind Carmen Hardy, Carmen's got to have a lot of pressure under the collar right now as Robin Summer starts leaving them behind.
Yeah, I think that's why that worked, though. Summer had tried a couple times, knew that she had to make the move in an unconventional area there. Ooh! I think that was...
Alex Martin.
Yeah, Alex Martin going a lap down. She knew she had to make that move in an unconventional part of the track because... Oh, and it's Summer that's actually gone round here in the corkscrew. So she finally completed that move, got free, and then spins out. I think she's going to keep the car clean. She will, but that's unfortunate for her because she had just made such a brilliant move. Here's the battle now once again between Hardy and Gaiman because this one's not over either.
Joshua Gaiman going to be trying to get the run onto the inside, and
I think he's on push to pass.
Have it. Yep. No, I don't see any push
to pass
usage at the moment.
Just had a really good run.
He's on
the
inside. Ooh, and he's going to make it stick. Carmen Hardy might have been a little bit late on the brakes there, but isn't going to let it back. Going to be trying to catch back up, but Josh Gaiman is ridiculously quick in pretty much every car he touches. So Carmen's going to have to run pretty hot and heavy here for a couple laps to try and keep pace and try and make that attack, but it seems like Gaiman is just developing another gap.
Yeah, I think Carmen's just struggling a bit here with the tires, and probably obviously driving 1 foot on this track is not a very fun time, but you saw McBride was off track there for a moment. This is what's happened. It looks like there was already some damage to McBride, who's just trying to get some seat time for Stepping Stone ahead of the season. And let's see what's happened here. Doesn't have a front wing. It's kind of hard to stop that car effectively, unfortunately. And Gaiman is in the pit lane now.
Yeah,
so
it looks like Gaiman's going to be taking... Yeah, so we are currently on lap 16 and 17, so right about now is the time where people are going to be making scheduled pit stops here. So Josh going to be going in and taking potentially 4 tires and fuel at this point. Most drivers probably taking fuel and tires here.
McBride and Martin, I think, have gotten together here.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, what's happened here? I saw them both stopped on the track. Let's see. This is probably going to be up at the corkscrew, the bottom of the corkscrew. I'm not sure if they were related or separate. It looks like they were separate. You see McBride stopped there trying to let traffic go, and then Martin spins out just behind. And then you see Bren Roberts in the background there. So I saw both of them stop. I wondered if they had it coming together. They have not. Constantino is in. Hernandez is in. Kruger stays out, so she's going to inherit the lead of this race. McBride's on the front stretch, so he's a lap down. He stays out, as does Martin. Those two get going together at the same time, and it looks like Carmen is into the pit lane now as well. So now we're watching, and so is Summer, so that battle continues. So now where's Gaiman? You see the dots at the bottom of the screen. Constantino is out of the pit lane very quickly, but the battle here for Gaiman is whether he can leap Hardy and Summer, who pit in reaction to cover off here, but I don't think they're going to get there. I think Gaiman's going to have them both jumped here.
Yeah, Emma Kruger might be on a fuel mileage strategy here. Might be trying to make it a two-stopper. As mentioned before earlier in the broadcast, it is possible, but it is very difficult. So we'll have to see if that is Emma Kruger's plan, actually. Does she go into the pit lane? No. So it does look like she's going to try and make it on fuel mileage. Just 2 stops, potentially the strategy for Emma Kruger. How she is managing to restrict fuel usage in this manner, I have no idea. It's...
Well,
man,
we know that
if this strategy works,
well,
it's genius.
Well, she had that incident early on. Figured why not? She's not faster than Constantino on raw pace, so it makes sense. I think Hardy ran out of gas in the pit lane, and I believe so did Summer. Or maybe Summer had an issue out of the pit lane, so they were fighting each other, and now they're both probably going to be out of the race, which is going to severely affect the outcome here, because that was some good battling we were seeing, and now we're robbed of that. So, yeah, unfortunate. And to confirm, yeah, Taco spun out of the pit lane. So, unfortunate for her. She was doing so well in her debut, but now going to be scored, at least for now, in 8th place. She'll drop down the order to, I believe, 11th before it's all said and done. But good effort early on. Great move. Probably the move of the race so far. As we continue to watch now Emma Kruger, who goes out for another lap. And yeah, considering her pace was slower than Constantino, it would make sense that she probably was fuel saving from the very beginning.
Yeah, seems likely, especially considering that situation with Chris through the left-hander, getting a bit of a contact, a bit of a touch on that left front tire. So perhaps making a choice at that moment to save.
Well, I think what I'm saying is, I think because she was slower. Oh, McBride clips his teammate, a lap down car, clipping Gaiman now, and that's going to severely hinder his progress. Zier is in the pit lane and is going to pass Gaiman in the pits. The stepping stone drivers have gotten together. How much damage is there now on Gaiman's car? That's the only thing you don't want to do is hit your teammate.
I'm going to make a bit of a judgment call here, a bit of an opinion piece, but considering that McBride was missing the front right wing and is now currently missing both wings, the extreme pace difference between Zach McBride and all the other cars on track is incredibly dangerous, and that was an inevitability. Driving that car around with that much damage, it should have gone into the pits. You already know you're kind of off pace anyways. You might as well go into the pits to repair the car and just get back out, but this isn't really going to be effective.
Up behind, catching in a really bad corner. I think that I'm with you, Strix. I think that at some point you've got to pull him in.
Yeah, because like at this point, the car is just becoming a rolling roadblock. You really got to fix the car.
Yeah, so Emma's boxed now, so she's trying to commit to the 2-stop strat versus the 3-stop, and she will successfully at least get the first stage of that done. Into the pit lane now comes McBride. He's going to try to get that thing woed up. This will hand the lead back to Constantino, though, who, if it comes down to pace and not strategy, looks like she's in a real good position to win this race. Kruger might have a shot to get Hernandez, though, either way. So Kruger looking good for the podium, which is going to help her chances in the championship. If, of course, with Hayward out of the race down in 13th, anything isn't going to really hurt Kruger here. But, yeah, it's Constantino, Hernandez, Kruger. Gaiman lost a position temporarily, but Zier needed to pit, so she's made her pit stop now and is racing with Pelletier Sharp. But they're quite a few. Pelletier, Sharp, and Zier kind of on an island here, of course. Zier with the win in Dover for Bajent Judd Motorsports, but Callie Bajent not here this afternoon. Watching Gaiman here, I think that car might be okay. They might have just gotten away with that, but I'm I'm sure the team meeting tomorrow is going to be an awkward one nonetheless.
Yeah, and I understand the idea that you want your drivers to get some seat time ahead of the Champ Car season, the proper season. And that's always, more than a good thing, but with the damage that car had, it really needed to have pitted quite a few laps earlier. It was already off pace by a significant margin. And when your car has that much damage, you can't really get a whole lot of practice out of it, because the car is handling so differently from what the car usually does. You're not really getting much out of it. So that's certainly going to be a discussion afterwards as we take a ride on board with Chris Constantino, currently holding on to the lead. Last lap, I believe, was a 109.185, which is about half a second faster than Angel Hernandez is currently lapping, but Emma Kruger behind last lap, 109.6. So both drivers seem to be on pace with each other, and also something to keep in mind, Emma Kruger is currently on the hards.
Yeah, that's the other thing that you have to keep in mind here with these lap times. They still have to hit their quotas, their requirements. The only other two cars running 109s right now is Pelletier Sharp, who's just now boxed for her scheduled pit stop, I believe, and Lilac Zier, who's running the 109s, but she just came out on a fresh set, so we'll see what she does there. And Zier is actually going to leap Pelletier Sharp in the pit lane currently, so put Zier up into P5 behind Gaiman.
Oh, Angel
now,
Hernandez is off in the top of the corkscrew.
Yeah, off, but I don't know if there's damage there. It looks like both the wings are on that car. We'll see from... Oh, no, there is missing a front wing plate there, so Hernandez has had a pretty big off. And that's probably going to be a forced pit stop now. So we'll see him probably come into the pits, and yes, he will. So we'll take a look at what happened there. Was running in P2. Was starting to feel the pressure from Kruger coming into... Oh, goodness.
Oh.
I don't think that had anything to do with anything. I think he just dropped it there, clipped the sand a bit. 2 tires on the tarmac, 2 tires on the sand don't go well together, unfortunately. So his run may very well be over. I'm not sure how much suspension damage there might be. If he doesn't have a little bit of toe knocked out, he's a very lucky boy.
Absolutely. These cars are very precise and very fragile machines, but we have seen some cars take some damage, get it repaired, and get it right back out. So hopefully that is just some nose cone damage. That can be easily replaced, but if there's any damage to that suspension, like the steering knuckles and stuff like that, that's going to be a bit more of an ask from the pit crew.
Yeah, and it's not so much a matter either of can you get out there, more so of is it worth it, because sometimes they'll let you make the choice if you want to go out with all that bent suspension, but on a track like this, which is already so demanding, it would just be a bit silly to throw a car out there if the toe's knocked so far out. But it
would be heck on wheels.
It would indeed, and not in the fun way.
No.
And considering that Hernandez is still in the pit lane, I'm not so sure that they're going to send that car back out. He might be done for he's out of the car at the moment, at the very least. So
yep.
If he's not done for the day, he's severely wounded. So that's going to scoot Pelletier Sharp into 5th. It's also going to give us pretty much 5 cars in any level of contention left in this race. It's Constantino, Kruger, Gaiman, Zier. After a really good start and some really good racing, they've been dropping like flies in the attrition rate here, setting in seemingly a lot faster than the other races this season.
Yeah, it seems like Angel Hernandez has disconnected, so that will be Angel Hernandez DNFing after what was an impressive start to the race, but unfortunately that one minor mistake at the top of the corkscrew, undoing all of that hard work that Angel had done to stay in the top of the pack. You hate to see it, very unfortunate, but currently as we run right now, we have Chris Constantino up front in the lead, followed by Emma Kruger and Josh Gaiman, with Constantino currently on the softer option tire, and the other two in your top 3 currently on the harder primary tire.
Yep, so just taking her time. She's got 26 seconds in her pocket to Emma Kruger. She's about to put, I believe that's Pelletier Sharp, another lap down now, but Sharp racing the racetrack more than anyone else at the moment. Her race was undone from the very beginning with a pit stop early for all the shenanigans on the start. Zier looking like she might have a real shot at a podium if the attrition rate keeps up. The only driver that seemed excited to be here tonight, besides us. So, positivity pays off.
Yeah, I'm honestly not surprised because from my personal experience, 90% of motorsports is mindset. If you're not in a good mindset, you're just not going to be driving well. You're constantly going to be making mistakes. And if you're, again, not in that good mindset, it just festers. And then you start focusing on all of those mistakes and overthinking things. But Lilac Zier seems to be in her comfort zone. And like we mentioned earlier, this is a very classic race to be running these cars at this track. Although not necessarily these cars. In history, previously in the series that shall not be mentioned, we've seen this series go to Laguna Seca, called the Monterey GP. So this is a very historic kind of situation here. Certainly within Lilac Zier's wheelhouse of having that sort of like retro feel kind of thing, having that really underrated appeal. A lot of underrated tracks and car combos seem to be Lilac Zier's what's the word?
Forte.
Forte, that's the word. Thank you.
That's think
exactly what I was thinking.
Quick update on Zach McBride. I think we may have finally lost him from this race. Brennan Roberts gains another position in his fight back through the field. So he's once again up 4 positions from where he started, passing McBride there. So despite his mistakes early on, they weren't terminal, and now he finds himself back inside the top 10. We've gone to the block of 5 cars since there are only 4 on the lead lap left. This race lost a lot of life very quickly with some of the faster cars there dropping out early.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see, but this is a very demanding track, very demanding car. You got to be on it.
You do, and so far Constantinu has been perfectly on it right now. The Romanian driver looking for her second victory, the first of which came at Rudskogen. So that came in a bit of a dramatic fashion here. I wonder if Kruger, even if Kruger can make the two-stop work with a 30-second gap in hand right now, almost 30-second gap in hand, it may not matter because that gap continues to grow as Constantinu opens it up. We're now officially nearing the halfway point. We're a couple laps away from it. So it's interesting. You see a car stop there at the pit exit, trying to let some of the leaders go by, but yeah, we only had 13 cars take the green flag, and 5 left in some level of contention. Now Hernandez, Martin, and it looks like Hernandez has gone, well, he's gone for sure. Roberts is about to pass him. McBride, I think, has gone back out on the track, actually, but that gives us 8 drivers still circulating at the moment. So we've lost over half the field before the halfway point. Bit of a shame.
A bit of a shame, but that is how these races tend to go. A bit of a war of attrition. But as we take a look around here on track, Brent Roberts currently ticking over laps. The last lap was a 110.86 compared to Lily Pelletier Sharp, currently running 5th with a 109.73. So in general, people seem to be driving similar lap times throughout the field. It's just a matter of consistency. That is the biggest key here at Laguna Seca, because with consistency comes safety in terms of being able to drive safe and keep the car on track. And we've been seeing a lot of drivers taking an early leave as a result of some errors in consistency. Speaking of which, Lilac Zier currently riding 4th. In terms of lap time,
you can see her up ahead there. Go ahead, though.
In terms of lap time, kind of been all over the board. You get quite a few 110s, but you also get 112s, 115s. But that being said, though, she is still on track. So while the lap times aren't necessarily consistent, she's consistently keeping the car pointed forward. And despite having some of the slower lap times on track, she's still in 4th. And that really shows that, like, driving the track is really the biggest part here.
Well, that's just it, isn't it? You know, she is sometimes she is incredibly quick, but more often than not, Zira is not the fastest driver on any given race day, but she's somebody I would love to put in the race car if I were a team owner, because she will get it home in one piece. She very rarely makes a mistake. She's probably one of the best at driving within her limits, racing the racetrack and not others. I think that comes with all the experience she has. She's been sim racing for a very, very long time. I think she's found her footing and knows what she's capable of, and it's opened up some incredible opportunities for her. Of course, that win at Dover was huge for her confidence, but she doesn't even really like this car. With all that in mind, even not liking this car, she's had a brilliant job. She's made very few mistakes, and yeah, she's rolling around. She's about to go a lap down, but like we said, she's one of the few drivers that hasn't made a mistake this afternoon, the other one being Constantinu. So other than the start, to be fair, but yeah, she's doing great.
Yeah, going a lap down while you're fourth is probably a fairly rare occurrence, but certainly not necessarily a bad thing, because anything can happen. We've seen this race just kick off, rather, is the word I wanted to use, from beginning to right now, and it's just now that the race seems to have cooled down as drivers get set into their pit strategies. The field seems to be pretty settled and separated. Another thing as well, currently... Oops, I was looking at the wrong lap counters. That's why they looked weird. Currently, Emma Kruger is running consistent 110s, including the last lap, which is a 110.3. Previous few laps, counting back from the most recent, is 10.7, 10.8, 10.4, 10.5, 10.7, 10.8, 10.3, 10.8. So, a lot of consistency here from Emma Kruger. Very obviously trying to make that two-stop work. We did see that she met the goal that you would need to accomplish to make the two-stopper work, 21 laps. So we'll have to see in the long term if this does benefit Emma Kruger, but right now, as she sits, she's in second place. She's about in the best position you would want to be to try and benefit from it.
Yeah, she's fully committed to this strategy, and I think that's why she's starting to keep losing time, as we see Constantinu now put Zier a lap down. Zier still with about 15 seconds, though, in hand back to Pelletier Sharp. So that battle might not be over for fourth before the end of this race, because I believe Pelletier Sharp does have the pace advantage. That was Bren Roberts with, I think, maybe terminal damage on the... Oh, that thing is destroyed. He's going to try and bring it back, but you can see the left front on that thing is pretty well killed. So Bren Roberts, who's up 4 positions, the only other driver, actually he is the last running driver. Angel Hernandez is the last car he needs to pass still, so I think that's why he's still rolling. He's trying to pass Angel Hernandez in the scoring to move up into 7th place. They're both on the same lap. So he's going to have to be very, very careful with all of that damage on that left front to bring it back home. He technically has 3 laps to serve that black flag for the damage, but...
I don't think you're taking that out for much longer.
No, but I think he knows that the race is over, and looking at the count here, he might get Angel Hernandez for 7th is what I'm saying. I think he may... We'll see what he does. I'd imagine he's going to just pit now and off the track here. And... Boop. Yeah, it doesn't turn too well when you've got 3 wheels on it. He is into the pit lane, though, and it will probably be to retire the number 84, who had an up and down day, but will unfortunately end that thing out in 8th. Or perhaps 7th. I think it's actually going to come down to where his pit box is compared to Angel Hernandez here. So
yeah, 8th position, getting at least some points, so it's a valiant effort. Every driver who came out here today putting out a valiant effort to try and negotiate such a difficult track. And we do see as well, Gaiman has entered the pits, going to be taking potentially fuel and tires. That stint was about 15 or 16 laps out on track.
Yeah, he's going to take fuel and tires. He's committed to the 3-stop strategy, which is why we've only seen him go for about 16 laps. It looks like a fresh set of reds now on the number 59, and off and away the remaining stepping stone driver. Well, him and Constantino both, actually, so the double podium is very much on. Pelletier Sharp has gotten around Zier because Zier is also in the pit lane. Heard her revving her engine there. She gets it going for Bajent Judd, and they've got another fresh set of reds on that car as well. So it's going to be very soon that we see Constantino. Gaiman's gone off the track there on those cold tires and gets it back on.
Currently the only drivers on track right now who have the primary tires on is Alex Martin in 6th position and Emma Kruger in 2nd. Emma Kruger is currently on lap 14 of her stint. Once again, that goal to try and two-stop is going to be about 21-22. It is possible. We saw her do it on the first stint.
Yeah, she's going to have to make it into the early mid-40s on lap count, which I think is doable, especially with the pace she's currently running. She's lost a lot of time to Constantino, though. And that's kind of the worry here, is that maybe with all of this saving that she's doing, she's going to eliminate a pit stop. But what is the pit stop delta? 36 seconds, and gaining is a lot of time to try to make up in just the pit stop. We'll see here when Constantino pits, though, because Kruger's going to go longer. If Kruger inherits the lead, then this is very much still on. But Laguna Seca does not have the the longest pit lane in the world. It's a fairly short one, and both the pit entry and pit exit cut the course a little bit. So we'll see. It'd have to probably take a mistake from Constantino to hand things off to Kruger. But Kruger doesn't really need to worry as far as, even though the championship doesn't count when you tell drivers they're scoring points, that's all they think about. Kruger gets 2nd. I think that pretty much will lock the championship up for her for the preseason challenge.
Yeah, and currently Emma Kruger is now the only driver currently on the primary tires because Alex Martin went into the pits and chose the softer alternates. So now Chris Constantino heading into the pits.
So we'll bring up the track map here. We'll see where is Kruger is going to be the question. There she is at the very top of your screen. She's just now behind Zier, about to head into the corkscrew. Gaiman's going to unlap himself. There he went. Pelletier Sharp is next. Constantino is going to have a lot of time in hand, I do think. She's got the first pit box because she was the pole sitter. It's not even close. Out with plenty of time left. Kruger just now coming into the final corner. So Constantino has pretty much a whole front straightaway in hand. It's just going to have to be her taking care of those tires when they're cold here. And Kruger not even going to be in the background here. I think she's just too far back.
Just a little too far back, but she has been catching up to Lilac Zier to attempt to lap her. But yeah, Chris Constantino out in short order. A very quick pit stop. And got about a gap of,
well, she's
like
still
about 10 seconds or so.
Yeah, she's still losing time here, but it's gonna eventually stop. Kruger has to find 10 seconds in this final stint. Now, Kruger is going to be in the pits in maybe 2 or 3 laps time, and that'll be her final stop. Constantino will have to pit again. So this is effectively how they will finish if they stay at this pace, because Kruger eliminated a pit stop there on Gaiman. And it's also worth noting that Constantino is on the prime tire now. You can see the blacks on that 57, so she will complete her tire cycle as well. And this is going to be good for Kruger, though, because Kruger should be able to try and gain back some of that time on Constantino, at least this stint, because she's on the reds.
That is once again a graphical error. As far as I can tell,
I got confirmation that Constantino is on primes now, so...
yeah, she is on primes, but Kruger would be on primes as well. They're both on primes. At least that's the information that I'm getting. I know iRacing is currently displaying the reds. I sure wish I would be able to have my eyes work properly.
Good game, right?
Esports ready. But yeah, it seems like both your top two is currently on primes, and something of note as well, both Emma Kruger and Chris Constantino, they both started on the alternates. So they are currently satisfying the multi-compound rule here in the Champ Car preseason challenge. So for them,
they're both good to
the
go.
tire rule has been satisfied.
Yep, and it's worth noting there's only a handful of cars left even circulating on the track at the moment. We have Alex Martin and Lilac Zier, who are a handful of laps down. Well, Zier's only 1 down. Martin's a couple more down. Pelletier Sharp barely on the lead lap at the moment, and then Gaiman, Kruger, Constantino. The track incredibly quiet here. So this will be probably caution free to the end. It would take a hell of a lot of a fate to find the 6 cars left circulating all into each other and into the wall, but stranger things have happened. But this is looking really good for Constantino to get her second victory.
Absolutely, especially considering that Chris Constantino does have currently the fastest lap in the session. Fastest lap of the race with a 108.738. But just behind that, I do believe, is Josh Gaiman with the second fastest lap time on track right now with a 108.809 set at lap 36 just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, he's in a race with Pelletier Sharp. He's only got about 6 seconds to Pelletier, who may be able to save enough. She's off sequence by quite a bit. I think they all have one more pit stop left here, so I believe that this is the battle for the final spot on the podium. Pelletier Sharp, fun fact, even if she were to crash out at this very moment, she would tie her personal best finish in Champ Car of 6th. So she is on for a new career best tonight. Going to get her first top 5 in the series if she keeps it pointed in the right direction, which she has for most of the night. From that start, she's up 4 positions. Lilac Zier and Alex Martin are up 5. Gaiman up 2. Constantino and Kruger are in the same positions they were in a bit ago to start this race.
Yeah, lots has happened, and ultimately we've seen today that perseverance is what brings the bacon home. As we've seen quite a lot of drivers crash out with terminal damage and a variety of other issues, but we're getting closer to the end of Emma Kruger's stint, currently going to be ticking over onto lap 20 of her stint without pitting.
Yeah, Pelletier Sharp is in now as well, so she's making what will be her final pit stop, or it should be her final pit stop in the number 18, so I imagine we wouldn't see Kruger too far behind now, as she's going to go for one more lap, probably go for maybe 1 or 2 more, and then she'll be able to come in. I think her strat is to save as much as she can on this stint, to put herself in an opportunity to push more in that final stint and try and go after Constantino.
That might, in fact, be the strat there. It does look like iRacing is showing the primes, but I'm seeing reds on my information ticker. So
yeah, I've kind of given up on the tire game at this point, but
yeah. Well, luckily I do have the info ticker showing what I believe to be the correct information here. So unfortunately, until iRacing fixes that visual glitch, yeah, I'll be able to call out the current tires, as Emma Kruger is now in the pits.
So
after finishing the 20th lap of her stint.
Yeah, I feel like she probably wanted to go for another lap before that happened, but she's not in any danger at the moment. I think she's going to just have to save like she was to make it, but she's looking pretty safe for P2 tonight, which will be enough to lock up the championship. Gaiman, where is he at now? He's coming up through the corkscrew, so I think Kruger is going to be plenty safe here. It's Constantino, Kruger, Gaiman, Zier, and Sharp, the top 5. Zier currently ahead of Sharp, and a long ways off of Gaiman, though. I think Zier needs to make another pit stop still. The Pelletier, Sharp, and Kruger now have fulfilled the pit stops, according to our fuel window. That both the Gearcats cars are done with stops for the night, so we should only be seeing them gain positions rather than lose positions. So Constantino, Gaiman, and Zier all still need to pit, as does Alex Martin, who is a bit of a way behind.
And it's a valiant effort from Alex Martin as well. Both Agent Inc. cars struggling at this track, and this is a very technical track to try and bring these cars to, but still pushing out there. Been making mistakes, you know, going on the top of the corkscrew, but regardless, Alex Martin has been, you know, very, very strong-headed. They're going to figure this track out, and you love to see that, where, you know, a driver is, you know, struggling, but they want to get better. They want to understand more and just get some seat time. And at this current point in time, Alex Martin is just ticking off laps, trying to get better at the track, trying to learn some different braking points, trying to improve those lap times and improve the consistency. So, valiant effort from the Agent Inc. driver.
Well, credit where credit's due. He's done the one thing that a good 10 drivers almost have not done today, which is keep all 4 wheels on it. So despite all the mistakes he's had, they've been small enough and minimal enough that he's continued to keep rolling. And if we have one more mistake from anybody in the top 5, he gets a free top 5 for doing nothing. So sometimes you just need to survive the deal. He's got enough pace. He stayed ahead of some of these drivers like Roberts and McBride. So he has pace. It's just he's been struggling a bit with the track and the handling, and just using this to learn, using this to pace himself. And much like what we were talking about with Lilac Zier, may not be the fastest driver in the world, but at least is keeping it consistent. Now, he's made a lot more mistakes than Zier has tonight, but he's kept it out of the wall, which is the important thing.
Absolutely, and that's probably it's the most oddly satisfying kind of success to have, is when you get into a race and you just kind of win by attrition. You don't do any on-track passes. It's just people keep wiping out ahead of you, getting terminal damage, and you're just kind of like free spots. Had one of those races actually, I believe, yesterday. I think it was IMSA at Long Beach. Just kind of kept advancing positions because the drivers kept wrecking out at yet another technical track in California. Long Beach is in California, right?
Yeah, Long Beach, California.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so a different Californian track that is just as technical, if not more difficult and unforgiving because of the walls being so tight on the circuit. But point being, sometimes when you just go out on track, you kind of know you're sort of already beat out on pace, but you just kind of keep advancing anyways because everyone else is just wiping out.
Yeah, it really does seem to be like one of those deals. It's just it's a unique feeling. I've definitely won a few by default before. They don't feel quite as good to me, but you take them where you can get them. But
maybe I'm one of those sadistic people who's just like like profiting off of like other people's misery.
Oh, don't get me wrong, it's fun, but it always feels better to do the pass on the racetrack and win it, put it into your hands more than anything else. But like I said, I'm not gonna say no. If you're gonna wreck in front of me, I'm gonna scoot on by, and that's what Zier and Martin have done today. Peltier Sharp as well, and Constantino, Kruger, and Gaiman, however, have kind of been on it. They've been in a league of their own tonight. Granted, Constantino has completely been on a different level today.
Absolutely. Constantino's been on it from green flag to the current lap 47 of 63. So we still have 17 laps to go. But, yeah, we've been seeing like Constantino just basically from what appears to be, at this current time, if things stay as they are, a flag-to-flag win here, which would lock up the...
Not quite, because Kruger had led for a bit there. It will be a pole and a win at this point, but Kruger did lead a couple laps early on when she had that initial jump on Constantino. So, won't be quite the Grand Slam she's looking for, but yeah, that was early on. She has led the most laps of this race already. It is locked in for her, and it looks like that she will not fail to lead any more laps because she has more than a pit stop in hand to Kruger. It would take a huge mistake from her, and pretty much her only, because Alex Martin is out by himself right now on the track, but he's really the only car that is not on pace with these leaders, and even then he's not super far off. He's only a couple seconds a lap slower, so he's well within 107% pace. But Constantino, the only one driving 109s right now. She's putting down mid 109s. Everybody else in the mid 110s or low 110s. Zier just put in a 111, and Martin putting in 112. So it's just it's one of those deals. Constantino is just on it, and everybody else either had their own mistakes or just not on the level that Constantino is today. Credit where credit's due. She's done a great job. And Peltier Sharp apparently not going to make it. She comes in for a splash and dash, so I guess she could save like her teammate did. That's going to pretty much give a lot of breathing room to Lilac Zier here. I'm not sure if that was supposed to be scheduled or not. It was close on the window. We knew Emma could make it, but maybe Sharp not able to save on the same level as her teammate. She'll stay in the top 5. She's not under any threat from Alex Martin, so it doesn't really mean too much for her. But yeah, also Carmen Hardy has rejoined the fight finally after being parked for about 30 minutes or so. So I think she's coming back out on track to try and gain some positions, which is a fair enough kind of situation. Zier is also in the pit lane again here to respond to Pelletier Sharp, so we'll see how that works out for them.
And there are enough laps in the race for Carmen Hardy to be able to pick up positions all the way to 7th. That'll be a great improvement on the championship point situation for Carmen Hardy. Very wise decision to just sit and wait those repairs out and then get back on track. Very valiant move, a very intelligent move there on Carmen's part. And as well, a little bit of the update on the tire and push-to-pass situation. Currently, Chris Constantinu, my apologies, is currently on the primary tire. Everyone else seems to be on the option, including Carmen Hardy. And as for the push-to-pass situation, Chris Constantinu has 8. Meanwhile, Emma and Joshua both have 10. That would be Kruger and Gaiman, both having 10. Zier currently has 5 push-to-passes. Lily Pelletier Sharp, who is still trying to push to catch up to Lilac Zier, has 1 push-to-pass. Alex Martin currently sitting on 9, and Carmen Hardy sitting on 5.
Yeah, this is probably going to be the best battle for position on track. Is going to be between Sharp and Zier. Sharp came out of the pit lane, but has already gained about a second on Lilac, so the battle for 4th is going to be between those two. Lilac, of course, trying to get her tires up to temperature. That's not Sharp you see in the background. That's actually Kruger, who's about to put Zier another lap down here, or actually just put her 1 lap down. After she's made her pit stop. So Sharp and Zier in a battle for 4th position. That's probably going to be the closest one on track because Gaiman and Kruger have been running very consistent lap times. Kruger doesn't need to stop anymore. Gaiman does, and so does Constantinu, but the gap continues to grow between Kruger and Constantinu. So Kruger's going to get close and is safe to Gaiman and is pretty well going to lock up the preseason championship regardless of how Zier finishes tonight. But yeah, I don't think anybody's touching Constantinu, and I don't think Gaiman and Kruger are going to have any fight either. So it's going to be between Pelletier Sharp and Zier, who goes around in the kink. Saw evasive action there by Kruger. Where's Pelletier Sharp? Whoa. She gets through, so that's pretty much that fight over now as well. And that is... yeah, that'll do it pretty much. Pelletier Sharp is probably going to drive away from Zier. Zier doesn't have any damage and did a good job not to pull right in front of Sharp there, but both the Gear Cats cars having to negotiate the Bajent car, who was stricken in one of the worst corners on the track. And she'll hang on to that top 5, but other than that, I think the only on-track passes we're going to see are going to be Carmen Hardy passing people in the pit lane by just deciding to get back in the cart and go at it again after running out of gas in the pit lane. So that's Gaiman just behind her, about to put her another lap down. It's worth noting Hardy is currently working the 21st lap of this race. Meanwhile, Constantinu is on lap 51, so she's about to go 30 laps down, but she's going to pass Zach McBride on this lap, Bren Roberts in 2 laps, and Angel Hernandez in 3, and that's as far as she'll go. I would expect her to pull it back behind the wall after that. And Carmen has just got McBride.
Yep, just got the pass on Zach McBride for 9th position. Gonna have to tick 2 more laps over to get past Bren Roberts, and then 1 more for Angel Hernandez's position. So we're gonna be seeing Carmen Hardy on track for at least 3 more laps, but potentially stay on track to finish out the race.
Which very well could. Alex Martin into the pit lane for his final pit stop. The Missouri native going to get back out there looking set and locked in to a 6th place finish. Not a bad effort from him, especially considering his best finish previously was 10th. Gaiman is in, and Lily is in again. Pelletier Sharp pits for a 3rd time now in a handful of laps. So this is going to hand Zier back that position. I wonder what Lily's boxing for. I don't think she's had an incident anywhere. But interesting.
I wonder, she's not.
Oh, she's got to serve a
not stopping in the
drive-through
pit-
here. I
Yeah.
think she's speeding in pit lane or an unsafe exit there. So that is actually going to reignite this battle here between Zier and Sharp. However, 20 seconds between Lilac and Lily, so it's going to be a big ask for Sharp to try to go after Lilac there. So a penalty to Pelletier Sharp is probably going to take her out of 4th place contention, but we'll see what she can do. She'd have to be 2 seconds a lap faster than Zier, which is a lot to ask, but she did just run a 1:10.9 to Lilac Zier's 1:12. So, and I believe Carmen has gone for a loop on her quest to get 7th place. So,
looped it through the kink. It's I'm not sure if she went too wide or touched the gravel on entry or what happened.
oh,
here.
Martin's done similar on the last corner, has gone wide there to get out of the way, I think, perhaps for Zier, and that is Constantino, who still leads this race. We're within 10 laps of racing to go. I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us, and new fastest lap by Chris Constantino, just ran a 1:08.6. So
Wow.
if you didn't think she was in another zip code before, there's your proof. That is the fastest lap of the race by almost 0.2 of a second. Everybody else is in the 1:10s or worse. So almost 2 and some change faster a lap Constantino is right now, and may very well be on track to lap the whole field before this thing's over, because Kruger is not super far up the road. She's coming through the last couple of corners now, still 10 laps to go. And Constantino's coming through the bus stop, or through the corkscrew, so we may see another one of those kind of races here before this thing's over.
So with 10 laps to go, as things stand right now, beyond Chris Constantino, I apologize, I'll get that right. Constantino is currently in 1st position. In 2nd position, Emma Kruger, followed by Joshua Gaiman, currently in 3rd. Lilac Zier currently sitting in 4th. Lily Pelletier Sharp. Ooh, Josh Gaiman having a little bit of a mishap on the top of the corkscrew, but keeps it out of the wall, it seems. I don't think I see any damage on that car.
No damage, but just a mistake there. Also, very quickly want to note that this lap has completed Carmen Hardy's quest back to P7. She now passes Roberts and Hernandez. I wouldn't be shocked if she parks it next time by, because she's a good 20-some laps off of Alex Martin. There's 9 laps to go. She cannot go any further up the leaderboard now. But the number 86 back on track for her first race before surgery, or her last race rather, before surgery.
Yeah, it would be honestly be up to Carmen Hardy what she chooses. If you ask me, I'd probably just stay out, just because, like, you know, just last sim race before you have surgery, you don't know when you're going to be able to get to full recovery to be back in the chair, so you'd probably want to spend as much time as possible. Or maybe you don't want to stress out your body too much and end up making the injury worse than what it already is.
Couple big things to note here. Another pretty iffy lap from Zier. Not a terrible lap, but not a super fast one either. It was actually one of her faster laps. It was a 1:11, but this time a 1:12. Pelletier Sharp has cut that lead down a little bit. It was looking like this might be on still between those two to the end of this race. Also, Chris Constantino in pit lane, and there is Carmen Hardy coming into the pits to retire the car now that she has officially claimed 7th. So, yeah, Constantino is going to pit. She has plenty of time back to Kruger, who I think now with that extra pit stop, since Kruger is not going to pit, that will at least save Kruger from going a lap down in this event. But yeah, I think the battle now is once again between Zier and Sharp. It's 16 seconds with that. So she's on track to get to the back bumper of Zier, and we already saw Zier make a mistake, so she may be a little bit shaken in her confidence there behind the wheel. We'll see what happens. It was the first mistake we've seen out of Zier all day, and we haven't really seen one out of Lily since the very beginning. And it's with everything that was going on at the start, it's hard to really say it was even her fault necessarily. But she's gaining quite a bit. She's picked up another second this lap alone, and is seeming much quicker in those final sectors.
Yeah, having that late splash of gas, despite getting a penalty, I believe, for speeding in the pit lane, ultimately going to be very beneficial. She has enough fuel in there to completely burn through the reserves Meanwhile, Lilac may be trying to save on fuel. So with Lily Pelletier-Sharp pushing for lap time as hard as she is, while Lilac kind of putts around trying to just save fuel, this could be pretty tight towards the end.
Yeah, it was a 1:11.2 for Zier last time to a 1:10.5 from Pelletier-Sharp, so she is absolutely gunning for it right now, despite the lack of pace in all of these cars as we get towards the end. The track seems to have deteriorated, with the exception of Constantino, who put in that 1:08.6. It seems like most of the field, a 1:09 for Gaiman last time, but with that spin, I think that's going to be the fork in the turkey for him as far as trying to go after Kruger for second. And the pit stop's not going to help either. So Kruger pretty safely nestled in P2, which will clinch her the preseason challenge. So that's going to be nice for her going into the final race at Indianapolis. But yeah, I think this is the last real battle for position. It's going to be Pelletier-Sharp and Zier. Pelletier-Sharp just now coming into turn number one.
Sorry.
So.
My apologies. I'm gonna close that app now. I didn't even know it was still running.
Well,
Scared.
now we know.
It scared me. Spooked me. But something to keep in mind as well is that when we started this race, I do believe that the track temperature was about 78 degrees Fahrenheit. That has risen just a smidge, about 1.5 degrees to 80.6 Fahrenheit. So the track did warm up a little bit, and track temperature is very important for these cars.
Pelletier-Sharp goes off and into the fence, baby. She saved it.
Wow.
A good save for Sharp, but that's probably day done on the fight for fourth unless Zier makes a major mistake. A good job by Sharp to hang on to it and not make that worse. She's almost saved it, then she overcorrected and nearly found herself in the tire barrier. Boy, Alex Martin was really cheering for a different outcome there, but Pelletier-Sharp does a nice job to hang on to it. That's probably going to be the fight for P4 over, but she will pretty safely hold on to the top 5 and now gets out of the way to be a good back marker and let Constantino on through. So that is going to pretty much lock up this race. It's Constantino, Kruger, Gaiman, Zier, Sharp, Martin, the 4 that remained running. So, or the 6 that remain running, the 4 that remained in any level of contention. So, yeah, 5 laps to go. It's Constantino's day. She's been on it from the very start, lost the lead from the very beginning, but once she took it back, she has not looked back since then.
Absolutely. And now, at this point, all drivers currently on track on the option tire. And the situation with a push to pass, not that it really matters at this point. You're probably not gaining enough track position to make it matter. But we do have Chris Constantino currently on 1 push to pass. Emma Kruger currently has all 10. Joshua Gaiman on 2. Lilac Zier on 1 push to pass left that she is currently using. Lily Pelletier-Sharp is out of push to passes. Alex Martin on 9 and Carmen Hardy on 1. But of course, Carmen Hardy, as we mentioned before, has taken it back to the garage.
Yep. P7 for her. It's going to be 1 off of where she qualified. Probably not overly thrilled, but she didn't seem overly thrilled from the very beginning, so I think she was ready to get out of that car once she got the maximum position. Of course, she opened the season with a win in Chicagoland. It's her first career win in ABN competition, and may be the last for a while she recovers from surgery, but she's been running on a broken foot for well over half the season, so I wouldn't be surprised if she tries to race on a foot that's just been operated on as well. So we'll see what happens, but she's had some good runs this season, another top 10 to close things out. Pelletier-Sharp en route for her first ABN Champ Car top 5 ever. Which is going to be a good run for her. Zier on for another top 5. Gaiman with a podium. It's going to be a double podium for Stepping Stone Motorsports, and Kruger going to wrap up the preseason championship. So everybody in the top 5 has a little bit of something to celebrate here.
Absolutely. All the surviving drivers, not only having something to celebrate with regards to the accomplishments on track, their finishing positions and whatnot, improving on their previous career bests, but also just being able to keep these cars on the track for as long as they have. Laguna Seca is unforgiving, to say the least. There is gravel on either side of the track at pretty well all times. and the corkscrew, one of the most violent corners to go through in these cars. But these 6 drivers currently out on track are the only drivers today who are able to, manage the brutality of the Monterey GP and tame it to be able to finish this race. And 3 laps to go. Chris Constantino going to be heading on down to the final corner here. You can see going through that really fast, heavily cambered right corner, now getting onto the final corner to start the penultimate lap.
Yep, and with this being said, you also saw Alex Martin go another lap down to Constantino, and with Peltier Sharp being 2 laps down and Martin now being 6 laps down, this is going to confirm that no matter what happens here, Peltier Sharp is going to finish this race in P5. So that is going to be her best finish to date. Whether she wrecks it at this point or not, she will hang on to a top 5 finish and breaks a record for her. Gaiman hops into the pit lane. I don't think it's going to be too big of a deal here. I think just running out of fuel at the end, we knew we have to make a stop, but we'll see.
It might have been a penalty because Gaiman just drove straight through.
Well, you had an off, so I think it might have been an X penalty, too many incident points.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Going to go a lap down here to Emma Kruger. Well, maybe not, since Kruger's saving might not be the case. Lilac Zier still, though, 40 seconds off of Gaiman, so it's not going to really affect Gaiman too much. Just a quick pass through for incident points. That actually might have been why Lily had to pit as well, now that I'm thinking. Whether she had a speeding penalty in the pit lane or just picked up too many X's, that could also have been the case. Not a lot of room for forgiveness here, but Chris Constantino doesn't care about any of that. She's starting her final circuit around this track. And it's been a dominant performance from the number 57 machine. Red Skogan was done by brilliant strategy. Tonight it's been pure pace for the young Romanian. She's going to come around for one final time. It looks like she has this one locked up. A brilliant effort from Constantino.
As she heads under the Mother's Bridge, going to be starting the very long climb up the hill. And now more than ever for Constantino, it's going to feel like a roller coaster, constantly going up and up, constantly ticking up and up, just waiting to get that quick downhill. And here they go, all the way down.
Yeah,
man, this has got to be the most. That has to be one of the most fun corner complexes to race.
It absolutely is. She's going to come
as
through
quick as it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And she's going to come through here through the final corner. Checkered flag is going to be in the air, and for the second time, you see the happy wiggles. For the second time in her career, Chris Constantino will take the checkered flag. She wins the ABN Champ Car Grand Prix of Monterey. It's going to be a great effort. She's going to be excited with that one. An excellent, excellent job for her. Now eyes on Emma Kruger, who's going to be hanging on to that P2. This will be enough to lock up the championship for her for pre-season. She's the winningest driver, tied most winningest driver in Champ Car. She's a road course trophy winner in the full season last year, runner-up in the championship last year as well. Looking like one of the strongest candidates to win the championship this year. But we had to get through the preseason, and she's going to clinch the preseason championship one race early. Second place for Kruger, a good effort there. Josh Gaiman coming around the final corner now to finish in third. So it's going to be a double podium for Stepping Stone Motorsports. It's going to be the second career podium, I believe, for Gaiman after winning the ABN 500. And Lilac Zier is going to come home for Bajan Judd slowly across the line for P4. Peltier Sharp has already crossed start finish line and stopped the car, and I believe Alex Martin has as well. So we'll see if we can talk to anybody at the end of this thing, but pretty much an exciting race in the first stint, and then a pretty straightforward one afterward. Not too bad, not too shabby. Congrats to Constantino, Kruger, and Gaiman on the podium.
Yeah, that was quite an interesting race to watch. A bit of a historic race to watch, considering, for the U.S. open wheel superfan, they'll recognize that this would be the Monterey GP, and certainly I believe today we learned perhaps why the modern U.S. open wheel doesn't really race around here anymore. But regardless, it was full of spills and chills and thrills, and lots of excitement on track, some excitement off it, as we heard in the drivers' meeting. But we have gotten through the race, and let's move on to talk to some of our drivers here shortly after we get through the grid.
Yeah, so I'm just going to do a quick run through of the unofficial standings here. After that, we're just looking at the unofficial right now. We'll go through it one more time before the end. Actually, I think we can do it now because we have James Wright and Josh Gaiman in the interview queue. I'm not sure if Chris will be able to join us or not, but James Wright, of course, the owner of Stepping Stone Motorsports. I'm sure probably thrilled with that, so we'll go ahead and pull both of them in. All right, James, Josh, it's Christina and Strix in the ABN booth. You guys got a copy?
Oh,
Yeah, I got you.
Well, we've brought in our third place finisher, Josh Gaiman, who had a good effort going today, and very, very happy team owner, James Wright. Josh, you put in a good effort. It looked like you might have had a shot at the win there for a little bit, but a few mistakes here and there. Happy to bring it home in one piece and on the podium?
Yeah, that's about all I could really hope for at this place. I cannot stand this track with big cars. It's a famous track, it's a big track, and it just feels like it's a track made for like nothing bigger than a Miata.
Well, that's an easy, quick answer there. Still a great effort from you to get P3. But James, I want to ask you, watching both your cars out there, it was really looking like they could have locked out the front row for just a moment there before they started throwing down the giga laps. I'll tell you what, it was still a really good effort, and Constantina, one of your drivers, throwing down the giga lap. Another win for her, a great effort for her. And then Josh on the podium, you can't complain with that.
No, not at all. It's so fun having both of these two on the team. Every week it's just spectacular to watch them. I can't really put into words like how much fun I have watching not just these two, but also the rest of the Stepping Stone team. It's something like, it's crazy to think about because like we started back in like October and we've come this far so quickly, fighting next to big teams within ABN, and it's so fun. I'm really looking forward to the start of the actual season.
Yeah, it looks like you guys are a strong contender to go after a team championship once we get things rolling in a couple months' time. But I wanted to ask you, Josh, well, I wanted to ask both of you, but I'm going to ask Josh first. We got one race to go. We're done with the road courses. We're on to the Indianapolis Oval. And even if it's a test race, an off-season event, it is the last one of the season before we get things underway for real, and it's at the most historic track for these cars. A win there would feel pretty good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, winning in this car at that track, would be pretty good. It's always I'd say 9 times out of 10, it's a fun time. There's always that one where the whole field bunches it up into turn 1, but hopefully that's not this time.
James, as a driver or as an owner here, watching your drivers out there, could really show some muscle for when we get into May of this year. What are your plans as the owner to get your drivers prepared enough for that last race of the preseason challenge?
Well, we obviously have the details to get started with our testing for it, and I plan to kind of pull us all together and really push hard to work together and make sure everybody is completely prepared for Indy, because that would be a huge win heading into the start of the actual season, and to also set us up for the big event in May.
All right, well, you guys did an excellent job today. Josh, you P3 today in the number 59 car. Kind of joining halfway through the season and getting in some really good runs here towards the end. You finish our final road course of the preseason in the podium places. If there's anybody you want to shout out, now's the time, buddy.
Yeah, everyone at Stepping Stone Motorsports, of course. It's been a pretty fun time just getting to know everyone and help people out, and seeing everyone improve over time is cool, and having Chris come in and just basically lay down heaters right off the bat is really cool. They're already pretty quick, which was nice. So any ideas we can bounce off of each other just helps both of us at that point. 213 Simware, McConey Setup Shop, and W Energy, all awesome partners for 2023. Hopefully, more going forward. Everything that ABN does is always a good product and always fun to do. So, thanks to all of you.
Alrighty, well that's gonna do it, guys. Thanks for jumping in. Congratulations, James, on your 1-3 today, and Josh on your podium. Great job, guys.
Thank you.
So next up is going to be Emma Kruger, who is now basically our champion for the preseason, so that's going to be exciting for her. We'll pull her up. Emma, this is Christina in the ABN booth with Strix. You got a copy?
Hello? Where am I?
You're in the booth. They gave me your number, but I know you probably wanted to go out and win today. You put up a really good fight early on, but P2, great effort, but preseason champion. I mean, that is going to give you some good energy moving forward. What's that feel like for you?
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of, I don't know. It's not really registered with me yet, honestly. I didn't think I would win it today, so I haven't been doing too hot the last few weeks. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I think if I had actually, I think I had a decent enough strategy. Just the execution was like awful on my part, losing like 2 seconds a lap, but that's all right. Yeah, I don't think that Chris was touchable today.
No, she seems super fast, but you did put both your cars in the top 5 by the end of it. So Lily getting her first top 5 of her career has got to be a pretty exciting thing as a team owner as well. And moving forward into Indy, with the road courses off your back, you are the road course trophy winner in the actual main series last year. Despite a limited schedule, you've dominated the majority of the season here in preseason, and still a lot of unknowns headed into the full season, but you look like the favorite to win the championship. What is the mindset headed into this last race?
One race at a time.
All right. Well, a great effort, a great championship here. If you have anybody you want to shout out, feel free to. Otherwise, congratulations on P2.
Shout out Lily for keeping me sane, but also being a good teammate. Shout out as well to your community, Christina. They've been overwhelmingly supportive, despite how many difficulties I've been through recently. But yeah, I don't really know who else to thank. Shout out Open Medicine Foundation as always. And shout out to Chris as well. That was a dominant win, dominant display.
Well, she won the race on track, but you won the race in the brackets for this 10-race cup. You clinched it, won early. Still something to celebrate about, and your teammate gets her first top 5. It'll be the first double top 5 in ABN for GearCat. So congratulations with that, and you have a great night.
Thank you.
And now the one we really, really want to talk to here, second career win. Number 57, a dominant performance all day long. Chris, this is Christina and Strix in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep, I do hear you. Once again, I absolutely do not know what to say. I'm just happy to be here. I was expecting. I sort of wanted to do well because this is my favorite track, despite what Carmen says. Carmen, could you please give the track maybe a chance in the World Series? But yeah, the race was interesting. I feel sort of sorry for what I did to Emma at the start. But overall, it was just fun to drive, I guess.
Yeah, it seemed like you were completely in your element out there. You're running fast laps deep into the 109s when everybody was still running 110s and 111s. In fact, on the last lap, you were the only one in the 109s, still a 109.6 at the end. You seemed like you were in a complete different zip code. Was there something specific that made you so fast today, or was it just simply being in love with the track?
Probably just being in love with the track. Plus, when I was like 12 or 13, I decided to start hot lapping Laguna Seca in Miatas, like in MX-5s on Assetto Corsa. So I just did that for like thousands of fucking kilometers. Oh my god, sorry.
You're all right. Carmen blew that one about 5 seconds into the drivers' meeting, so.
But yeah, I think it's just that I sort of like obsessively drive this track. And I was waiting this round. I was just eagerly waiting this round. As soon as like the disaster that was Richmond just ended, I was so happy to like, okay, focus on Laguna Seca. It's my best track. Do everything I can.
Well, being a rookie here, of course, being one of the few drivers that we can say is from Romania, it's such an interesting story that you've had to jump into this season halfway through, it seems, or not halfway through, but early on, and put down several races back to back. You're now a 2-time winner in ABN competition so early on, and moving into the full season with Stepping Stone, you seem to have so much support from James in that team. Yeah. How does that feel going into the full season now?
I mean, I feel like not much really changes because I give it everything every race, no matter if it's preseason or full season. So I wouldn't expect like anything different in the full season, so except for obviously the higher stakes. I'm just so happy that I can have all the support that I do have from James and from the whole team, because they've been way too forgiving with me, it seems, every time I screwed up, and I'm just happy that they support me.
Absolutely. You have plenty of supporters as well cheering you on. It was great to see you out there and put in an excellent drive today. One of the more clinical drives at ABN history. So if there's anybody you want to shout out, now would be the time, of course. But otherwise, congrats on the win.
Thank you. I mean, I'm still going to shout out my mom. Yeah, that's it. Every race, every time I get a podium, I'm going to shout my mom out. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Of course. So it's a second career win for Constantinu, some champagne and some hugs all around in the Stepping Stone Motorsports stable. Congrats, Chris, on your second win of preseason.
Thank you.
Well, Strix, what do you make of that one? Get towards the end, had such a great battle and in the points, and now that's over. We had such a great battle early on in this race. It seemed over 20 laps in. We got one left. On the oval. Yeah. The oval.
Yeah, the oval, not just any oval. Indianapolis next week. And I don't usually when we end these races, I say if this is anything to go by, I don't think you can really take much from this race and bring it into next week, considering that not only is Indianapolis like an oval, but it's also an oval unlike any we've raced at this season. That being said, compared to what we've seen in previous ovals this season of the Champ Car Preseason Challenge, we're probably going to see another fuel mileage race. We're probably going to see a lot of tire management, a lot of fuel management. We're probably going to see a lot of track position becoming very important. And, you know, if you were watching this race at home and saying, man, this race kind of died out, don't worry. The Indianapolis GP next week at the oval,
yes,
going to be a blast, because every single oval we've raced this season has been an absolute blast to watch, and I don't think next week is going to be any exception.
It's going to be even more so because it is such a historic track. It is where this series was born and raised, and it's where Champ Car really thrives more than anything else. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to feel like a bit of a shootout because it's not the 500 that we run in May. It's a little visit before the visit. So it'll be a taste of what's to come in 2023. A quick look through the final race results. They've been on your screen, but in case you've been listening in or tabbed out, Chris Constantinu, we just spoke to her. She's your winner for the second time in her career. Emma Kruger, the winningest driver in ABN with 6. Takes home the preseason championship 1 round early. A P2 was enough to secure it for her today. A good effort for Gearcats. Constantinu's teammate Gaiman, they take the final step on the podium. Gaiman one lap down, but with a good effort, Lilac Zier quietly and methodically worked her way into a 4th place by racing the racetrack. A great effort for Bajent Judd. Peltier Sharp rounding out with her first top 5 of her career in ABN Champ Car. She will help Gear Cats get their first double top 5 in Champ Car competition. Alex Martin, try as he might, he gets a P6. A great effort for him after a series of bad races. He finally gets one across the finish line, and it pays him off handsomely. Angel Hernandez had a great start going, but unfortunately isn't gonna be enough for him to get to the end, but was running in the podium, had a very fast car. P7's all he's going to get today, although that might be up for debate because Carmen Hardy apparently has fallen down the order. She had gone out and had issues early, came back out after running out of fuel, passed some cars, and I think the scoring may have told her, nope, not quite. She does gain a couple spots, but falls to 8th in our unofficial scoring. Brendan Roberts, P9, had issues on and off today, just unfortunately unable to finish. Same for Zach McBride. Robin Summer in her debut was running in the top 5 for most of it, made some incredible moves. Unfortunately, not the one she was looking for, but a good debut race for her. Lee Overton, similar story, good start, not a great finish. Olivia Hayward never saw the end of the first lap, and Elias Flores never saw the green flag. As Strix mentioned, there's only a few more rounds, only one more round left and only a few more days before we get there. We'll be on the Oval in Indianapolis. We thank you guys so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this installment of the ABN Champ Car preseason. From Strix9, Pulsatrix, and Christina Ryan, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.